Mayor Pat Cadle, who has come in through the frost. Thank you, Mr. Cadle. How are things in the village of Newcomerstown?
We're still moving. We're still moving the right direction.
That is, I knew that, but it's always good to hear that from you. So last time you were here, we talked just after the holidays, and there was the tragic fire, of course. But there was a project coming up with smoke detectors in the village, and some other entities were involved. So tell us about that and how that went.
Basically, after the fire, we were contacted by the Red Cross. The Red Cross actually had a number of ways to help with what happened. One was they helped with funeral costs for the family, but they offered a Saturday from 10 to 2 where they would bring volunteers down, and we added our volunteers, which was our council and myself, and for those hours, we installed smoke detectors on 4 streets around where the fire was.
Now, not just handed them out, but installed them.
Yes, and the neat thing with this is they're good for 10 years. You don't have to change a battery when the sun comes up or
Yes.
Daylight savings time or anything. And we covered 4 streets. There were 30. They brought 30 volunteers down with them. We added 7 or 8, and we had a good day. And they had them split up into groups. It's very well organized. We covered the 4 streets in really about 2.5, 3 hours, and each group had a side of the street. We passed out and installed 156 smoke detectors, and we're actually getting ready to set it up again for 4 different streets the first weekend in May.
Very good. Now, will these residents get some kind of free announcement like, hey, we're coming to your
Basically,
house?
what they'll do is they'll canvass it 4 or 5 days before that week, and they'll knock on everybody's door. If you're not home, they're going to leave a little doorknob thing that says, hey, we're coming on May 6th from 10 to 2, and if you want a free smoke detector, and actually they give you up to 3. They'll put one on each floor.
Okay.
Basement, first and second floors, and they're about, I say they're worth about $35, $40 because of the length of time, but we didn't have anybody turn us down for that. Even if you have 2 working smoke detectors, if you want them replaced, we'll replace them. And it's a pretty good deal. And if the thing would go bad, let's say in 5 years, all you got to do is turn it back in, and they'll give you another one free. So it's really a good deal, but makes us feel a lot better that you got more safe homes.
Yeah.
That are being alerted.
I don't know how much detail you can go into about this. We didn't get to talk too much ahead of time. I know you're considering a different kind of fire department. Are there works being made for that, or is that just talk?
We're working on that right now. NERS has been our primary contracted service, and they're a private organization of their own, and they're having problems.
Yeah.
They're doing the best they can, and they're arriving at as many scenes as they can when they get called. But there's only 2 or 3 of them that are able to do it. And when you're just looking at one call, it's usually not that bad. But we've had 2 instances in the last 2 months where there were 2 calls within a half hour of each other.
Boy.
And then you're in trouble. So the other trouble they're in is they lost their nonprofit status. Their pharmacy license had not been renewed. It's on a temporary right now. They've got 3 investigations going on. So what we decided was we were going to form our own volunteer fire department. We have 10 guys that have signed up that have their certifications. We're trying to get as many things as we can because we own the building that all the fire equipment's in right now, but until the one investigation's over, we can't really do much. So we have to prepare for what we can.
You'd need prep time anyway.
Yeah, and that's why we don't want it to be ended now because we're not ready to transition into it. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's a problem we've got to figure a solution to, and that's our solution.
Well, you're certainly you're moving forward. All right, let's talk about something happier. And this isn't all village run, but the Cy Young Festival is coming up again this year, and I saw that Eric Gagne is going to be coming in from the Dodgers, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot of work for those people that put that on and to do their research and get their people in. And I don't know how many people they ask as far as the former Cy Young winners, but Eric Gagne is going to be a fun one to have too. We always have good people. The guys that come in really have a good time, and they get to go out and see Cy Young's grave. For a lot of them, that it's an experience.
Yeah.
You don't think about where that award comes from sometimes, and Cy Young really was an enigma in his time, because when he started pitching, it was in the late 1880s, early 90s. Yeah. And so half his career was over when they changed the pitcher's mound. They moved it back 10 feet. That destroyed a lot of pitchers in those leagues. And I give him credit because of his stride, and he was a tall man that he was able to overcome it. But, that's 511 wins. That's an unbreakable record.
Oh, yeah.
And, the 300 losses he has is probably unbreakable, too.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. But
ironically, at the library tonight in New Philly, there's an actor who's portraying Cy Young.
Chris Hart.
Yeah.
He does a nice job on a lot of different characters. He works hard at it and does a good presentation. But it was an interesting life, and his wife died in about 1933. He actually retired in 1911, and his wife died in 33, and sometime after this, when he moved into the Benedums, the family, and they took care of him, and he grew up with Jane Benedum as a child. As she got older, when she passed, she left a lot of memorabilia that she had gotten from him, and I was fortunate I got to catalog it when it came in.
Wow. So
yeah, you're getting a wristwatch that has Cy Young's name on it and the whole thing. You put it on, and it was on Cy Young's wrist. It's pretty neat experience. And we're fortunate. I know. He basically was from Pioli. Yeah. But in his latter days, he'd always come into town and find a chair on somebody's deck or porch and talk and it's kind of a neat history. We're very fortunate. We have Cy Young, which more and more kids are not knowing who it is. I mean, he died before I was born.
Right.
And Woody Hayes. We just put up a Netawati statue.
Yeah.
That is outstanding. The Alan Cottrell, the sculptor, does a wonderful job with that. He's the one that did our Woody Hayes statue also. But I cannot get over the detail that this gentleman can put into that bronze. You're talking about a metal that gets poured that is so strong in it. And when we got Woody, we were afraid because Woody has his arm pointing out. We said, kids are going to hang on, they're going to break it off. And he says, no, they won't. He said, you could beat that thing with a hammer and you might put a scratch on it, but that's about it. It's not going to break. And Netawati's has a lot of little features that you think the same thing with, but the detail on him is so good. It really is something that you should take 5 minutes and come down and take a look at it.
And just think of the three different times in history and spectrums where those come from, and that's all in one village. That's amazing.
There's been somebody living in Newcomerstown for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
We have artifacts that keep being found. When I retired, I was fortunate. I found a hill that had just been shaved, and I hit a workshop, and I couldn't believe all this stuff. I dug for 3 years and never came down with less than 10 pounds of rock. It's amazing, but it really is that valley, and I think this valley is a lot like that too. They offered so much to those Native Americans at that time that why leave? And we have more deer than almost anybody but Coshocton or Muskingum counties.
I think they crossed the county line down there and just cohabitate.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. It really was. The Delaware Indians moved here actually from New Jersey, just like Nicholas Neighbor did 50 years later. And when they came, Netawati's really was a very good leader. In fact, he was 92 when he died, which is unheard of. It'd be like 150 now, I think. Yeah. But he really did want peace, and he was a good ruler. The more we're able to read about him, the more impressive he was. Now, his son, Kilbuck, Bimini, I think, when his statue goes up, and his statue is next.
Okay.
I know they're almost got it completed. He was the exact opposite, because at that time, that's when they were all getting pushed west and such. But no, Netawadi's, it's Newcomerstown. He's really the founding father of Newcomerstown, because he was chief newcomer, and we were named. And they tried calling it Neighbortown for a while, and didn't work. It was always known as Newcomerstown. So it's kind of neat to have that history.
Yeah, stick with it. Well, we talked about the fire department. I guess before you leave, is there anything else on the agenda that is looking good right now going into the warmer months?
We have some big projects, 2 water projects. We have one up on Adena Drive by McDonald's, and then North College Street is another one that we have coming. Paving, I think the big street this year is Cross Street. The neat thing, sometimes you wonder where you're going to get the money to do this stuff. The Neighbor Street Bridge needs replaced. We applied for a grant with the state, got $951,000. I'm still $400,000 short. But we just got notified of a new grant that we can apply for the rest of that money. And I found out about it yesterday, and it's due on Friday. So you're scrambling to get the information back to them.
If people don't know, grants take a while to apply for.
Oh my gosh, especially when you're talking state and federal grants, there's a lot more to it. You have a lot of work involved, and they ask for a lot more detail. The good thing with that one is basically I just have to take the information they use for that big grant and put it into their questions. The Simons project, we got $670,000 from the state for removing the concrete, and initially an assessment thing, because you have to test the ground then. And the state, the assessment company that we were working with said that money was for the cleanup, not for the assessment.
No.
And we went round and round.
Yeah.
But the EPA has been very good for us and very good to us. And they actually have the money for the assessment. Excuse me. And now we can use the other money for the cleanup. And it's one of the things that we're saving on our own. So you're looking at a project that's probably right now has costed $1.2 million, where the town has only had to put in $350,000. So that's a pretty good deal when you only have to pay about a third of what the actual costs are for something like that.
Right. And when you think what the end result is going to be.
And if you came down there now, it's unbelievable. It's just a flat area that they've got groomed. We turned all the concrete into gravel so that we didn't have to take it to a landfill. The gravel will be gone by the end of spring. For different projects that we have going on. So there's usually a blessing. I feel really lucky, because we're looking for about another $600,000, and it looks like we have a good chance of getting it. So that's why you just keep working forward. Keep moving forward.
That's it. Well, Pat, thanks. You're always a good, positive leader. Thanks for a little history lesson today, too. That's so interesting. And we'll have to have you come back in summertime around the Cy Young Festival maybe sometime.
Okay.
We'll see what's going on then, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Well, thank you so much. That is Pat Cadle, our guest this morning, the mayor of Newcomerstown, here on the 830 High Beam on the BT Morning Show.